And from our floor user shapes, they are in architectural elements. And so we go to our catalogs and we go to our drop-down menu. And as you look through, you want to find your architectural elements. User shapes. Of course, you can click on the plus or you can double click to expand your tree there on your catalog window. And we want to start with a floor user shape. This is a basic shape. I'm just going to left click and I'm going to drag it onto my floor plan. And I can set it right in the vicinity of where I want to work at. And these are basic shapes that come in on a square, and then you edit them and you can set the texture of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first edit the attributes of this. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to floor user shape, and I'm going to get my drop down menu, which you're all very familiar with by this point. And we're going to left click on attributes. And this gives you the width and length and the depth of everything that you are looking for. And so what we want to do here is we're going to set, and I'm actually going to just set this at about 48 inches because I'm going to show you another option to edit when we get on to the floor plan. The height of this, of course, you can change by moving the buttons up and down, or of course you can type in a dimension. The next tab is your texture tab. And because this can be any type of texture you want, to be wood, non-wood, match the catalog, or you can do as countertop. I'm going to show you how to do what we call a glass countertop because everything else here you're pretty familiar with. But if you select non-wood and you go to your library, and what I want to do here is I'm going to pull up a paint. And generally I use a very light blue or a very light green to create a shade of glass. Okay. So I'm going to go here. One more up. We'll go right there. And then I'm going to say OK. And then I'm going to pull this transparency all the way up to about 100% there. Okay. And then we're going to say OK. And now I'm going to, the floor user shapes start on the floor. So they start at 0. So I want to move this up and down to fit on the top of this wall. So I am going to go bottom at 54. 42. And hit enter. Alright, so now I'm going to move this where I want it. And as you can see, it will be free floating. So I can set it right on top of that. Now, if you want to edit the shape of that, now that we have created the texture, it's your standard edit commands. I'm just clicking on that. Just clicking the lines, which you're very familiar with. So you can set that in the same scenario that if you wanted to radius a corner, just like you would your countertops. You can do that, okay? And now you have created a countertop section on top of a knee wall. And when you go to your 3D, you'll see what I have created will have the illusion of that glass countertop because I have made it transparent. And there's that glass countertop sitting on top of that. And you can also use your floor user shapes if you wanted to make a sphere or something for this to sit on top of. If you were doing a fancy rotator, you can actually create a circular and change the texture to look like silver, and it would look like it was sitting on top of a stainless steel post. But that's how you would use that user shape to create that in your designs. Now the other user shape that you have at your disposal here is what we call a wall user shape. And a wall user shape needs to be set to an elevation. So I'm going to just go up here and I'm going to put into my elevations. Click on the walls here. And I'm going to leave these kind of big where you can see them, but I'm going to probably shrink them down a little bit. There we go. And the other type of user shape has to go onto a wall. So you have to be in elevation mode. But if you've ever tried to create a tile section behind a stove, or just a tile section in a custom like this, a little butler's pantry, you can use a wall user shape. And you're going to do the same thing again. You're going to drag it and drop it, and it starts with that perfect square. And I'm going to set that right on top of my countertop. And then I'm going to right click and I'm going to edit. And the same thing again, I can grab the lines, move it where I want to move it, and say I wanted this to be half. And then I can go out of edit. I'm going to right click on that wall user shape, and I'm going to go to the attributes, texture. And again, you've got your selection here. So if I wanted this to look like a full height splash to match my countertop, I can go there, or I can go to non-wood, and then I can go to any of my options in my library and select tiles. And now when you go to your 3D, and so you can even do that to layer tiles. Say you wanted a pencil tile to go through the middle of two fields. You could do actually 3 different user shapes there, or do one user shape and lay another one on top of it. As you can see here, as we scroll around, now this particular wall has a backsplash of our tile that we selected. Another shortcut that I can tell you about, if we go to one of our other walls here, let me scroll that up here. And if you have noticed, we also have the option of a backsplash. So with this backsplash, when you're in your design settings, which is your startup, on your countertop option, you have a backsplash height. You can change this if you want to. Okay? And then when you select your backsplash here, it will automatically generate that backsplash on your floor plan. And then you're still not locked into that generic backsplash, because you can edit the backsplash from there. We added this particular option for the backsplash to ProKitchen a few months, I guess probably a little over a year ago. So now you actually have the option of just putting that backsplash on there instead of using a wall user shape to create custom backsplashes now as well. So now you can add points. All I'm doing here is just adding points. And as I'm adding points here, and then it gives me the option to just grab that line. So I can do whatever I want to with it. I can grab a point. All I'm doing is clicking on that point and moving it around. And then if I wanted to add something different up here, I can. I can move this down, move this up. So this is real easy for you to manipulate and change make your backsplashes custom. And then you have the same option again that when you go to that backsplash, when you go to the attributes, you can go to texture and you can change that. And so you can get creative with changing all the different backsplashes that are available for you. And also, we will go over importing your own when we get done with our user shapes here. Okay. The other thing that you can create with this is soffits, post within the floor plan. If you needed to put, I'm going to take this one out here. And if you had needed a column in your room, you can start with that floor user space. And again, the same thing is going to apply. Is, you edit it so you can make it, you can, round it to whatever shape you need it to be. Change the height of it to go from floor to ceiling and make it a white post or a beam. And you can set beams on top of the ceiling. If you needed beams going across the top of your ceiling here, you had a 2x8 or a 2x6, and you can actually just change that there. So I can change it, if I wanted a and see if you wanted to go up and down the bottom of this, if you wanted it to be right up on the ceiling, you could set it right up on the ceiling. So you can create croppers up there and exposed beams. I'm just going to go down here and grab up. And so that is how you use your user shapes to create elements within a room and be able to apply different textures to them. So that's your wall user shapes. If anybody has any questions, just let me know. And you can see I didn't move it up off the floor. I'm sorry. Thought I had clicked on that there. Up and down. Let's see if it moved up that time. For some reason, I'm not putting that in right. But you get the gist over there. Up and down. I don't want the bottom 5 inches off the floor. There, that's 5 looks. So that is how your floor user shapes can become different elements within your floor plan. You can build the soffits over the top of your wall cabinets, change it to a little paint color. So that's how your wall user shapes are to your advantage there. Okay? So I will delete that. Any questions about our user shapes? Okay? Very good. Now, what I had just mentioned a minute ago is that you can import your own textures into ProKitchen. This is very, very easily done, and it will broaden the ability for you to put textures on the floor plans that are not in our library. What you want to look at here is when you go to Settings, excuse me, we'll go to Image Collections. And when you get to Image Collections, you get this box, and you can see I have created some folders here. And you can add a folder, and you can add an image. So all you have to do is have a JPEG saved from the internet, and when you click on this, you can add an image. And you can go to anywhere on your computer that you saved a JPEG, and you can import that image directly into user collections. You can create a JPEG from a picture on the internet. You can make your own. And then you basically import it in, and it is saved in your user collection. I've done it. You can do it for paint. I've done it for glass blocks that I wanted to put into a window. I have done it for paint. I have done it for tile floors, the pebbles-looking floors to put in the bottom of a shower that I was doing. So anything, if you want to personalize your designs even more, then you can do these imports. And you can see you can also import tiles. And these images, I just found them on the internet, and when you right-click on them, most of the time you get the option to save image as, save it as, put it on your computer, and then you can import it. So this is a super nice feature to allow you to create even your more elaborate designs with your choices. Okay? And you can play with the edit option here. This gives you the option to play with your repeat pattern, which is very nice, that you can even spread out that repeat pattern. And once you have put your designs, your images into your user collection, you can find them. Let's go back to your attributes here. In your library, it's the very last option, is your user collection. So everything that you import from in your settings will be found in the library under user collections for everything that you import. Okay? Any questions? Okay, very good. So that gives you the options for your importing into the program. We'll close that out. All right, the next thing that we're going to talk about is creating a solution. As you've gone through all of your icons and you've used every day through your basic designs, one of the ones that we don't start out right off the bat using is our solution box. but this is a very, very handy tool in the fact that if you're creating islands, hood sections, or just a group of cabinets that you use on a regular basis, this allows you to save them and use them again. If you've got a signature island that you put together and you use a lot in different designs, then this will give you the option to not have to repeat that design element every time yourself. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to just do this island here. I'm just going to, number one, I'm going to create a group. And grouping islands especially together is a good thing to know that you can do, because you can move them together as a group. So we're going to do that as well. So this kind of incorporate everything together. All right, so we want to, number one, we want to create a group. All right, we're going to give this a group name. So you can call it whatever you want to. We'll call it Island 2. You can give it a description. That way you can identify it when you go back to get it. And we're going to say OK. All right, so now that I've started a group, now I'm going to right-click on each one of these cabinets. And now it gives me the option to add it to a group. There's my Island 2. So I'm going to add each one of these cabinets to it. Okay, so now each one of those are part of that group. Okay? I'm just going to get that out of my way. And now I have the option of my group. And as you can see here, I can move it, I can rotate it, I can drag it, I can copy it, I can delete it, I can ungroup it. So once you've grouped these items together, they work as a, you can work with them together. If you wanted to move them, you wouldn't have to move them individually. So from right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this to solution. It's called Island 2. And then I can put a description here if I want to. And then I can say OK. I can make any notes also if I wanted to. All right. So now, when you go to your solution box, click on your categories. Here is Island 2. And I can place it. And so I can place that island anywhere in any design. This is one I made from another training. So this is a great time saver if you're creating some unique pieces. So as you see here, I can delete that whole group. I can delete that. So that is how you can use your solution box. So that is what that box is for. Okay, one of the next subject we're going to touch on is lighting. As you all know, we have a lighting catalog that is there for you to use. And I'm going to show you some of the features that are available for you to use when you're designing with it. If we go in and grab some, let's do some over-the-cabinet lighting. And we're just going to place that. And place it here. Alright, let's grab some toe kick lighting. Put some of that down here. Under the cabinet lighting, let's put a little bit of that on there. Okay, so once you place your different lighting options that you have in your plan, let's take a look at when you go to 3D. Okay, so as we rotate this around, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change lighting. And a lot of people aren't aware that they have this feature when they get into their 3D to change. But when you go into your lighting tab, it gives you the ability to change this lighting inside here. So you can move this up and down and change that lighting because as I'm going to turn that down where you can see the lighting here. So you're going to get that reflection. So you can manipulate your design by selecting that lighting. And what it does when you go, a lot of people don't go to the HD button, but what this does is when you get it into your HD and you render it in high definition, you're going to get the shadowing of the lights that you add into your design. So if that's just something for you to know that's there, that if you want to create some reflections in your designs, that by placing those lights in there when you go into your high definition, you're going to get that reflection back. And so if you've never used the HD button in your 3D, what this does is this carries you all the way to what we call our photorealistic design. So see, you've got the reflection on the floors. You've got the reflection on the ceilings. We'll put in. So as you continue to grow and create the designs, going into this high definition is very, very easy to do. And once it gets it completely rendered, you'll be able to save this. And you can save it, and it saves it as a PDF. And like I said, this is a little bit of rough start as far as putting all your lights and stuff in. But it definitely shows you how you can get that photorealistic with your light reflection in a design. You can see it over here where we place that cabinet light over there. And then see from here, you've got your option to save this image, and you can save it. It saves it as a PDF, so you can email that PDF, or you can save it and use it later for your presentation. Okay, I got a question here. Let me jump over here real quick. Okay, Mary, let's see. Let me grab your question. Are the groups able to be rendered in a different color if they are from the same catalog as the main kitchen surround? Yes, you absolutely can do that. And that, I'll go over that with you. Let's go out of the 3D here. So we'll close that up. And we're just going to exit out of our 3D there. Once you have grouped this island together, Mary, you can actually go into this island 2 where it says change catalog. All right, let me show you how to create a catalog to give you two different style selections in one design, okay? That's actually one of the things we're going to cover today, so that's all good. You can see here I have medallion and I have medallion B. All right, so I have copied this catalog in the program, okay? So what you want to do to make a copy of your catalog is you go to Settings, Catalog Settings. I'm going to save our designs. All right, you see you have a list of your catalogs there. So all I did is and you can make as many copies of this catalog as you want. So if you want 3 different finishes or door styles in a design, you just copy them. Give it a different name. And say OK. And now you can see I have medallion, medallion B, and medallion C. So let's open our design back up. Okay, so now when I go to change catalog, I can change that. All the different options for this catalog are going to pop up here. So if I went to medallion B, so now this is all medallion B. And then what we would do is we would go to our global specifications, and from you select our medallion B. And so now from here, we can select whatever we want. And then here, is medallion. So when you go to 3D, you'll see that island's going to be a different color. It's going to be the darker. And if anybody that doesn't know when you're in 3D, this button right here, Hide Invisible Walls, that allows you to get down into your design. You can, And now when you are in here, you have the option of changing both of them in here. Okay? It's still really light, but you can see it. You see, we've gone light with that. Let's see if we can bring that back up. You can see I've played with this webinar design. I've got several different colors in it now, just from changing things over. But that's how you create different door styles, different finishes, all within one catalog. Okay? Okay. Just close this window here. And let's see if I have any more questions here. All right. Yep. Yeah, now Mary is asking, can you import custom finishes, for example, a vertical wood grain and an exotic veneer? You can import anything that you can do a JPEG. So if you go to the internet and you find a JPEG of an exotic wood, you absolutely can import that into your user collection. Like I said, I have imported all types of things before. You absolutely can. Okay. The next thing that we're going to look at is some of your display settings and default settings. As you all know, that when you start your design, we start with our display settings option. Okay? Mary, you would not be able to get that to show up on a cabinet door because the doors are generic through the cabinet manufacturer's catalogs. So other than using a sample catalog, I don't know what exotic woods that they have in that catalog, but you cannot place a texture to a individual door. Sorry about that. But you might be able to find something in the sample catalog that would work for that. So let's talk about some of the options that you can change in your settings. As you all know that when you start here, you have all of your defaults that everybody talks about. Everybody knows about top alignment, bottom alignment. If you don't, let me know. As to when it defaults, it comes in as top alignment. And if you do design and you do something on a specific, say, you know, the default is 96 inches and you always work with 8-foot ceilings and you don't want to change it all the time. Same thing with your countertop overhangs. Your 3D, if you have a specific set of images you would like to start with versus the defaults, you can change these to be just defined to you. Okay, and we're going to go to default settings. Okay, and again, it's in settings, default settings. Now when we get this window, it looks a lot like your design settings, but what you're going to see here, this is what defaults that to those settings. We can change a certain few things. Okay? Display the path to the design file. That's this right here. If you want to make your screen larger and get rid of that where you don't see it every time, you can uncheck it. Auto save, auto backup. I would definitely never change auto save. You need that to be auto saved. But you know that you have your auto backup files. You know that when you started using ProKitchen, you've got a design file and you have a backup folder. Well, that backup folder is what enables you to go back if your computer crashes or you have a light flicker. You have those backup files. Or if you just wanted, I had a customer that just wanted to go back and start over halfway through her design and then work forward again. Instead of having to undo only goes back so far. You can change how often that that auto backup is done. That's up to you. It's a great safety net, but if you want it to be 12 or 13 minutes instead of 10, fine, you can set that up there. The 3D modes you really don't mess with unless technical support asks you to. Your info panel is 3D here. I don't know anybody that would want just an image when you can rotate it and everything here. We do have an option that was added here that you can change from mouse mode to touchpad mode. So this is for people that are using laptops. It just makes it easier to design with the touchpad versus a mouse when you're on a laptop. So if you don't know that option is there for you. Display the handles. These all are talking about here are your edit tools on your walls. So when you click on your walls and you get the little handles, if you don't like those, if you don't want to edit your walls with those, then you can get rid of them if you don't want to see them. I wouldn't imagine anybody would want to get rid of those. They're great things. So this is where you can set. You can see that I have a default set for a 9-foot ceiling, and I'm always going to draw with a bottom alignment. I just have, unless I change it, it's going to be a bottom alignment. Countertop, the default is 1.5 inches. I can change it to 1.25 inches. I can default my moldings. 3D, same scenario here. So these are things that you can change, and that way it's more customized to you. This one here, a lot of people don't know that this is here. But you can actually, when you go to your customer reports and you start running those reports, you can actually set the defaults here for your sales tax every time. So every time you run that report with that catalog, it's going to have a design charge or a shipping charge or sales tax or a specific discount. So you have a certain discount off of list for that catalog. Every time that you run that catalog, that report will have that information on it. So this is a place that you can customize this a little bit more toward yourself. Okay? I better get rid of that or it'll show up somewhere and I'll let them know why. Okay? So you can change this or leave it the same. So that is your default setting window. And that is under your settings. Any questions there? Pretty cut and dry, but it is a place for you to go and be able to change things to be more personalized for yourself. Another thing that you hear everybody talk about when they're doing their 3D renderings is sending the entire 3D rendering through our showroom. A lot of people that don't realize that when they purchase ProKitchen, you have the option to send this design to your customers with our showroom feature completely for free. This is a very unique tool. Everybody else charges customers with their software to have this. It saves you tons of time instead of having to save a bunch of images and send JPEGs to your customer, why not just send them the entire design in 3D with a viewer for them to view it on? So I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. Let me get rid of my go-to meeting window here. It's in my way. If anybody has a question, let me know. All right, so what we want to do here is you scroll across here, you're going to see this little mail icon here. What you want to do is you want to click on that, and it's going to give you the option to make an attachment to an email. The servers here, you have to try which one works best for you, depending on which mail service you use. If in fact you can't get this function here to work for you, I'll show you the another manual way to create the showroom file. But this is the fastest and the easiest. Have found a couple of servers it will not work on, so but you can try them, and if you also have a problem, you can have contact support, and they will help work you through it and see if, to make sure you can get to use this attached to email option with your designs. And as you can see here, I have the option to attach the current design showroom file, an SHW. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to say OK. And it's going to save my design in the showroom format. And it's going to create an email for me. I highly recommend that you do this, email yourself the file and load it and see how it works. That way if your customers have questions, they can always refer back to you, and you will be very familiar with it. You notice that it has attached my design, but instead of it being a DSG file, it is an SHW file. This HSW file can be opened with these two links viewers. All right, the difference is showroom standard. This is a very large file. It's a file for Windows and one for Mac. It allows the user to change the door styles and the finishes. Most people, dealers, most of them will get rid of this and use the showroom Lite. This is a small file, easy to download, and it is a viewer only. So whatever your global specifications are indicated when you save this file is the global specifications that's going to show up in their viewer. But they cannot change door styles and finishes. And you would just send this. And your clients can take your design, rotate it, open the doors and drawers, look at it, call you back, and they can walk around the entire kitchen in your 3D modular, which is a super way to do that. Okay? The other option that you have that a lot of other designers do not have is you have the option, we're still going to go to that email design, and you have the option to attach the current design, iPhone, iPad, Android file. So you click on that and you say OK. That is going to save your file. And it's going to save it in a format that you can email it to your clients, and they can open it in 3D, in color, on their smart devices and their tablets. Same scenario here. It's going to give it a name. You put who you want to email it to. It has changed your design to an RVD, which is what the app iProK 3D opens. It's a free app. This gives the instructions to the customer to go to the App Store or the Marketplace, install the app, and they will be able to open your design on their devices using that app. Is that clear or what? Any questions? Okay, very good. Now, is there anyone that does not know how to, if you do not use this system, that anyone does not know how to save a design to a JPEG or to a PDF? Anybody need to go over that? Everybody good? If you need to do that, just raise your hand and I'll go over it. I think most of that is reviewed in the basic class, but if anybody's missed it, I will review it. Saving a design, saving JPEG, or to a PDF. Everybody good? I have no takers on that one. Okay, no problem. We will move on. Okay, we're going to talk about a few features here in the program that don't know if you know are there. We're going to go to View, and we have a new toolbar. It's a comment toolbar. When you click on that comment toolbar, you're going to get an additional toolbar here at the bottom. And with this toolbar, it's going to give you some additional options. I can put triangles on it. I can go to the attributes of it. And I can change the color. I can change the fonts. I can tell it which layer of floor plan I want it on. And I can move it wherever I want to. So this gives you some additional shapes that you can use in your floor plan. If you want to do a schematic, it gives you the option to do a schematic. If you put your lighting in and you have a layer that you have a lighting schematic that you need to draw out, you can go point to point on that as well. Okay. You have fill colors, and we'll undo here. With your lines, let's say if I do a comment, you can change the lining of it. Let's do comment, add a line. I'm just going to point one from right here to here for right now. Everybody knows about the right click, and you can do an arrow. Okay. But you can also now change the line of them. Okay. You can change the fill. So you have all these options that you can add. Okay, so that is your comment toolbar. So if you hadn't used that and need it, it's there for you to use there. Okay, so that's our comment toolbar. And that's our schematic lines. We've added some additional features in our display settings. Everybody familiar with display settings? Display settings, you can either get to it from your settings or you can just right-click on your grid. When you right-click on your grid, the display settings sets what you actually see on the layer that you are on. So if I'm on layer 1, and you notice on this particular floor plan, I have changed my view 1, view 2, view 3 to different, edited. I've edited it to be a word. That way I know what I'm creating on each layer. And each layer can have a different display setting, so you can create different sets of plans at the exact same time that you are working. Okay? So I'm creating a countertop plan, a plan for an installer on 3 layers by changing the display settings on each layer. Okay? And so with this display layer, if you know that this has been there and you've played with it and worked with it, then you all know that in Room Elements we have added some things to make your construction lines. Online, you can change them to dotted lines. You can change the fill color, the outline color. So we've added some options there for you. Okay. So when you actually when you do a construction line, you've got some options for those. Okay. So you can select what you want there. And you can also select your fonts and the size of that. Okay, so your construction line options are there. The wall zones, you can also go to cabinets. And we have changed the option here that you can now change that option. You can also change the fill color. Okay? So, and that's just within your display. Cabinets used for all groups. But you can see now that the cabinets are dotted instead of solid. And they're not blue anymore. So this is another tool that people had asked for that we have added to the program. Same scenario with your elevations. When you're in elevations, I'm going to close out my floor plan. You see here I have edited each one of my elevations just by right-clicking on that, edit. And it's going to let you change those tabs if you've never done it before. Okay? But if you want this to change as far as what you see on your elevation, you use your display settings here also. So cabinets, say I want to use for all the cabinets, I now want to display the labels with no dimensions. Because before I had it click do not display label. Now all my nomenclatures I can see on my elevations as well as my floor plan. So you can experiment with your display settings because you can change this to see whatever you want to see on each layer. Same thing with your measurements. If you want to go in here and change your measurement display, whatever you're on is what it's going to change it to. And you can change what you see and what you do not see on each layer. If I flipped over to my countertop layer, you can see here that I've taken all the cabinets out, and the only measurements that we have here are countertop measurements. So I can actually print this, or I can save it and email it, and this is my plan for my countertop. And then I can make notes on it if I want to. This one here, if you're familiar with the bill of materials, this bill of materials you can print with and without pricing. These numbers now correspond to the numbers on the floor plan. So if you've got cabinets with finished ends or whatever, and you can move them up and down. If I move this cabinet up and down, it'll change the number here. So I call this my installer view. You can print this list out. It will correlate this list with your floor plan. So there's lots of things you can use that display settings for that will be a plus to you as you go through and learn the program. Any questions about display settings? Okay? That takes care of our display settings. The other display option that you have is if you look in your drop-down menu and scroll down, every catalog has NKBA symbols. And with this, you've got all of the symbols that is used for NKBA. Okay? Kitchen. So we wanted to move this over here. I'm just going to stick it right here for all due effect. But you can also edit that. So if you need to use something that is in there, but you can now edit your NKBA options. Okay? You have electric. So if you needed to put symbols, you can also edit that if you want to tone it down some. That lets it put it on your plan. Okay? So all of your NKBA symbols are here for you to use as you design. Okay? The other thing that you have is NKBA guidelines. It will actually pop up and give you information. And it gives you a listing. And it will also verify your design. And ProKitchen is certified for your CKD testing. So as you learn this, if you're going to be testing for your certification, ProKitchen is certified as a program for the exam testing. Okay? The next thing we're going to talk about today is our reports. And we're just going to go over the list of reports that are available for you. And we're going to start here. The first one is really, really super nice thing that you have here in ProKitchen is that you have a manufacturer's report. And in this report, you fill out all your information, your account number, etc. You can put in your multiplier. Let's just put in a multiplier. If you pay sales tax, if you have any shipping charges, and when you fill out this information, this creates a manufacturer's order form that you do not have to reduplicate on their forms. Every manufacturer that is supported by ProKitchen has their own order form uploaded into it. So you don't have to rewrite anything, which is wonderful. And it gives you a full list. And it gives you your list price, your multiplier, and everything that you selected, and it will give you a total price. And then you can save this or you can print it. ProKitchen also gives the option to Easy Link. So if you're working with a manufacturer that exports into a pricing program, we are highly encouraging every manufacturer that offers that to their customers to put it in ProKitchen. You will be able to export your full design to their pricing programs. And there's a lot of those that have been released in the last year, lots of them. And there's usually, we send those instructions. I think either the manufacturers send them out if it's available for you, or if you call your manufacturer's rep, I'm sure they can put you in the right direction there. So that's how your manufacturer's report works. And I'm just going to cancel this one here. Medallion does export into their own pricing program. That's why it is available. The next report that you have available is a customer report. And this report here basically is going to create a report based on your input here, a discount off of list is what it's going to create for the bottom line, okay? If you're selling it at retail and you're not going to give any discount, you just put 0 in there. This installation line is per dollar or per percentage per item, okay? Now, if you want to create a report but you don't want to do it per item, there is a way to override that. Instead of it doing $5 per item, if you look at pricing, you see right here where it's going to, that was the previous one. And you see you have to include both catalogs. Let me take this out of here. I've just checked for it to include both catalogs. Then you can actually have it put 0 here. But if you wanted to override it and you just wanted to put in a lump sum at the end of it, you can override that here. Okay? So it's just going to put $1,500 in at the end. If you have 0 here and you have 0 there. And of course you can bring in your own information. But now it's created a report based on those specifications. Let's see the total. And it's going to combine both reports, both catalogs, because I checked both of them to be included at the end. Okay? So that's how you can create a customer report. Like I said, it's all based on what you input here. Any questions? Everybody good? Okay. The next one is our, it's actually a multi-quote report, which I think is a great idea in the fact that it allows us to quote up to 5 different door styles. So if we were quoting the medallion section of this drawing, we can quote up to 5, and I'm just going to click this down for purposes of time here. And when you go to quote 1 and then quote 2, all you would do, say they just wanted a difference in the door styles. So you just, anything that you wanted to put there for quote 1 and quote 2, for the 2 different options. And you can quote up to 5 of these. And that would be for the section that's in medallion. It's going to give you quote 1 and quote 2, what each one of them are. And it's going to give you a simultaneous quote for the end of it. So that's your multi-quote report. All right. The combined report, has anybody used a combined report? If you haven't, it's it's really a real slick report. If you are not sending your designs by 3D, then this is definitely the way that you need to send emails. You can do, say you did a print preview. And we're going to select our views here. Let's do a floor plan, and let's send all the elevations, and say OK. All right, so let's say if we want to, let's move that down a little bit. I don't know if I use this print preview a lot for my, when I actually want to create a file. I find it's very, very easy to create and move things around. And the nice thing about this is once you have created this in where you want it and sized it to the size that you want, you can save it to a file. And it makes a PDF. So we're just going to save it. Okay. We'll close that, and then let's just go to a 3D. And so we want to do a top view here. Or we can just cut through the wall. And so we want to save this one. Close that. All right, so you can save as many different views as you want. And when you go to the combined report, you can add. So let's add the island view, and then let's add the PDF. So you can add all of your different JPEGs and PDFs here, and then you can, of course, preview them. And that's my GoToMeeting with that black spot there, so I apologize for that. And when you say OK, it will create a PDF with all of the different JPEGs and images that you saved, and you can email this one file, and you don't have to attach 6 or 7 different images to your email. You would just attach this one PDF. I think instead that's one of my favorite ones. Before they came out with emailing 3D, this is what I almost always recommended using to get your save as image option, your JPEGs, your print previews, all over to your customer. So that is your combined report. Okay, has anybody else got any questions so far? Now at this point, usually what I do, that when we get into this, is I usually try to ask everyone that is attending, is there anything that you want to ask or see done that I have not gone over yet? We have about 45 minutes left. If there's anything in particular you want to see done, or a question that I can answer for you, go ahead and give you the floor to do that. And I'm going to continue to kind of go over some different features and some options, but if the floor is pretty much with you guys as far as if you want me to, we're flexible with what we're going to cover from here on out. To kind of make it kind of custom to who's attending. So, Brian, Mary, anybody? Stephanie? Have anything in particular you want to see? Okay, so I'm just going to continue, and oh, here's one. Brian's got a question. Oh, you picked a hard one. Curved walls. There's some people will use a user shape to make a radius wall. Some others will actually make a angled wall using little bitty angles all the way around it. The one that I saw done actually used a user shape with a wall behind it. And I'm not sure if I can duplicate it or not, but I'll try. Let's see if we can do it here. Okay, I'm just going to add that out there, and I'm going to blow it up a little bit here. Because I saw it done, and I tell you what, one of our trainers is very, very good at this that travels. Let's see if we can do it here. I'm using a user shape. And I'm not 100% sure. Let's see here. You may have stumped me, Brian. It's gonna. I don't know if I remember how he did it. I believe they took the user shape and then made it in that angled, inside angle, and then they actually took it and made it the height of the wall. And I think they changed the texture to whatever wall paint they had. But I will double check the instructions and see if anybody's got those written down, exactly how to create that that rounded wall. I know the user shape, I've used that user shape like I just did right there to create a shower door, and I made it actually invisible using that glass texture. And you could just, whatever size you needed that to be, when you inside radius it, you could get that illusion, and you just set it inside the wall. So that is one way to create that user shape. And then you probably put a construction line behind it. Okay? The other thing that I have seen done is that they would take and make like a bay, and it would give it the illusion of being rounded when they finished it. If you added the wall. Oh, I didn't want to add a wall, sorry. You continued the wall. and would take like little bitty, I would say like maybe 7 to 10 inch spans. And then that will expand right there when you get into 3D. And of course, depending on how big of a radius you want, I just chose something small to pick on the end of that down there. I've seen that done to where it would give the illusion of being a radius, like a bay wall, but with the little short clips on it. When you got it done, it would make kind of a rounded, and then you could even probably make that rounded if you wanted to put this real smooth user shape inside of that, you could. I would just make that a construction line, and that way it would give you a placement zone. Okay, I think that would probably work. All right, you're welcome. Okay. All right, we got another question. Let me grab that one. Vaulted ceilings. Boy, Brian, you're full of good ones today. Vaulted ceilings. Actually, vaulted ceilings are not too bad if you know where to go look for them. It takes a little playing with them a little bit, but if you look in your architectural elements, has ceilings, okay? And in the ceilings, you've got a cathedral wall top. This would just, and then a cathedral wall. So I'm just going to take the topper, and I'm going to drag it onto my floor plan. I'm going to start right there. And what happens is you actually go in and modify the top. Go to attributes. And as you can see, it allows you to do your offsets with your wall width and your depth and your offset. So you set all of these dimensions and the direction of it's going to go. Okay? And I was going to, let's just try to resize this pretty large real quick. And let's just pull it up. And I have no idea which way I got it going, but you'll get the idea of it when I put it into rendering. So you basically set it on the wall and set your wall length and your depth and which way you want it to vault to after you set it on top of that wall. And you can see I've started a vault right there. And then you would just make that depth pull this direction. So it's not very difficult to get that vault on your floor plan. And you can see here, when I move around here, I've got this little archway right here. I've set that to invisible. That's a user shape with it to portray an archway opening through there. And I've just got it like a invisible transparency on it. Okay, so that's how you get your vaulted ceilings in there. Okay. Any more questions? Okay. Did not know, this is something I'm going to put out there for you guys. Did not know if you knew you can have 2 ProKitchen opening plans open at the same time. This way, if you're toggling between a couple of different designs and you need to have 2 open, that is not a problem. You can now open 2 ProKitchen designs at the same time. Very cool. All right. This here is this is one of my webinar HDs that I did that I wanted you to see the lighting. See how we've got this light shadow. This is completely finished up, one I haven't played with too much that I saved, where you can see that reflection on your HD and how easy it is to get that with your lighting. And that's just one of my saved PDFs that I did from a webinar. Okay, so we'll go back here. Okay, we got another question. Let me grab that one. Oh, it's Brian. You're welcome, Brian. Okay, so let's go through anything else that we want to talk about. What about anybody have problems with the non-plan items? You know, where to put in scribe moldings and outside corner moldings and stuff like that that you do not place on the plan, and additional products. Everybody knows where to go get those. Anybody need to go over that? You can speak about it if you need to. All right, here's a question. How do we change the look of an oven cabinet for various types of equipment people are using? Microwave combos, doubles, coffee machines, etc. I usually use change the layout. Brian, let's grab a tall cabinet. If you're working with a catalog that does not allow a lot of modifications, usually I think they can let you change. They will let you still change the layout. Let's look here and see if it does. Okay, I'm going to go over to this oven cabinet. I gotta move my go-to-meeting panel again. Sorry. Let's go to the attributes. And let's go to the modifications here. As you can see here, let's go, let me take these appliances out. Let's just remove that one. And let's remove that one. And let's go to the modifications. Let's see if we have it. And we have special modifications, SKUs, delete, it may not be on this one. Medallion has so many modifications that we may not be able to find it in this one. Let's pull out a generic one, because they probably have all the modifications that you need. So let's go to the sample catalog real quick, just to pull one out, but that might have it. And let's go to tall. Let's try a single oven cabinet here, double oven cabinet. I'm just going to set it in the closet here. Let's go to the attributes. Modifications. Yeah, see how it has, most of them are going to have a frame modification. Invert, where you can invert them. Special modification. Convert with the cabinet. Cabinet size, inverted frames. Yeah, it should be within the modifications. Let's just try here. Ranges, cooktops, ovens. Let's see if sometimes it'll let you change it here. Place. If we go here, let's change the height of it. That will change that up. So I know you can change some of the dimensions from here. Ah, that's funny looking. Cabinet's too big for that. But I may have to send you something on that, because like I said, there is a modification that says change the layout. I don't know which catalog, I don't know if it's catalog specific, that actually allowed you to go in there and change that layout of that particular catalog. And I don't know if it's just ones that do not already allow you to change anything, or if in fact it is one that is catalog specific, because I know I have used it in some catalogs that just had utility cabinets or small cabinets, and just it may be that it's catalog specific. So I'll need to find that out, and you may, if you'll email me that question where I will remember it, it's just lrobinson@ProKitchenSoftware.com. I will see if I can look into that a little bit further and see how it relates, and also which catalogs you work with, to see if I can figure out. See, here's your design only. See, yeah, that's what I thought was there. Hold on a second. Look at that. Yes, yeah, so see here, this is out of a Cabin Art catalog, and this is design only. So if you're working with the catalog, check and see. It gives you the option to change the layout, and I've used this before, to where it gave me the option to change here. But like I said, this is not in the Medallion catalog, because they offer modifications, so you can modify the cabinet. So look in your catalog under that modification. It's called Design Only Modifications, because these are things that the cabinet company does not do, but you have to do in the field, that you can change them things on. Okay? Does that answer your question okay? So you use Medallion, yeah, because that's what it is. Medallion, you can modify the openings, but if you feel like that there's something in there that you have to do in the field, but you can't find a way to show it with that Medallion, I would honestly I would use Report a Problem. I hope all of you guys know about Report a Problem. I heavily encourage everyone to use it. If you have a problem with a catalog, just click on this Report a Problem button, and it will launch our support page. Fill in the information, attach your design to it, and send it to support. And if it's something that needs to be addressed either by ProKitchen or by the manufacturer, it will be addressed within 24 hours. Okay? So, yeah, if you haven't been introduced to that Report a Problem button, definitely use it, because it will get your answers to your questions really, really quickly. So, I hope that helps you out there, Brian, on that one. Okay. The question is, do you have specific appliance manufacturers' catalogs? We have Braun has a catalog that is in the system. Revachel, all of their catalog is in the program. There are other companies that are in the process, I think, of working on catalogs. The biggest problem, I think, with the appliance people is they change their catalogs so often, it's hard to keep up with them. By the time you get a catalog built, they've then changed all the models. What ProKitchen did, I guess it's probably been almost 2 years ago now, a year and a half ago, is we took the most popular appliances on the market and we updated our catalog to have those appliances in 4 different colors. And we still kind of put out there that if you have a specific item that is very, very popular and you don't have it and you think we need to put it in the program, send it to your account managers as a suggestion to be added to ProKitchen. These images are not hard to add to ProKitchen. It's just a matter of knowing which one, what works best. And so we just updated the appliance and the plumbing catalogs last year and a year and a half ago, I guess, something like that. But so we have greatly expanded what is available, but they are not manufacturer specific at this time, other than Braun that is in your drop down menu here. If you scroll down to your generic catalogs, you've got Osborne Wood Products, you've got Ichabod, and then there's your Braun catalog. And of course, Revachel has their entire line, and you can put the Revachel products actually into the cabinets just through your modifications. So if you go to your attributes and you go to modifications tab, the very last one is Revachel. So anything you wanted to put inside a cabinet, you could do that. Okay. The closet catalog is generic. There are 4 or 5 manufacturers that do have their closet catalogs uploaded into the program if you're a customer of theirs. I know Canyon Creek has one. I'm thinking Truewood may have one, but ours is loaded with a generic one to use with the closet modular that comes with ProKitchen. Okay, and I have not used that closet modular very much, but I'm looking forward to it. No, you're doing good, Brian. You're probably answering a lot of people's questions that won't ask, so that's good. And so that's good. If you don't have lots of questions, that's good. That means that maybe I covered a lot of stuff. Some of the things that you have the option of is when you right-click on your grid, you see that we have now added, if you didn't know it was here, it is here, or if you see we added wall zones on and off, and automatic fillers and display mouse distances on your mouse navigation. As you know, that when you run your mouse around between the walls, you get that navigation. Some people love it, some people hate it. If you don't like it, all you have to do is get rid of it. Wall zones on or off, you were talking about placing like cabinets in this rounded area. If you needed to do that, and the wall zones are a problem, you need to manipulate the cabinets in there yourself, You can turn off your wall zones from right here. You don't have to go to display settings anymore to do it. It used to be under room elements, and you would turn your wall zones off right there. We have been asked to make this a little easier for if you're on the fly doing it. And so if you just right click and take your wall zones off, you'll notice the wall zones disappear. So if you wanted to grab a cabinet of sorts, and you notice now when you have that base 9, it'll go anywhere. It's not going to pop to a wall. It's not going to try to pop into a wall because your wall zones are gone. Just remember, so you can turn them on and off really, really quickly to be able to manipulate going into those corners. My shortcut for always doing that was when you right click and move a cabinet, if you hold down the control key, you're going to bypass the automatic snap of that wall. Okay? So that's another shortcut for you if you have your wall zones on and you're trying to manipulate a cabinet inside the zones. Okay? So that's your zones on and off. And you know that, I don't know if you know this or not, that when you highlight a cabinet in red, if you just want to get rid of it, you don't even have to do the drop-down menu. You can just hit your delete key on yours. Okay, Brian, do you have to close out of 3D to make a change to the plan, then reload 3D every time? Yes. Yes. There has been some experimentation with being able to change things in plan view. It does tend to cause a problem, so it's never been released. There's something to do with the software, the brains of everything, that when you try to change it in 3D, it doesn't talk to the floor plan very well. Unless things change and the people that are way smarter than I am figure out a way not to have issues with it, no. For right now, you can change the door styles, but not make any changes cabinet-wise in 3D. Okay? I think things end up in la-la land. You absolutely can. Brian's question is, can you modify the sample catalog to reflect a stock line of cabinets with pricing, i.e. customize a catalog? ProKitchen has a program called ProCatalog. You can actually download it. You just need to contact your account manager. It's completely free. So if you wanted to create your own catalog, to have just what you wanted to in it, you could load ProCatalog with a sample PZK file, just upload it into the program, and you can design a catalog with whatever you want in it. So there is a tutorial on how to do that, and there is a full trial that you can actually download that. It's completely free. So and then once you've created the catalog like you want it, you would just install it into ProKitchen to run for you. Yeah, Brian says that's great. I've got a lot of custom shops that literally, that's all they use. They just built their own. They just built their own catalog, and so very good tool for you to use out there if you want to create your own. If you buy from a custom person yourself that you want to create your own catalog for, if he doesn't do one. Okay, we're down. We have about 15 minutes left. Anybody else want to jump in there with some questions? Or is there anything else that I maybe haven't touched on that you're interested in looking at? Outdoor kitchen capabilities, question mark. At the present time, there is not an outdoor kitchen catalog. I have drawn some outdoor kitchens and putting them even in stone by using the walls and the user shapes. I would change the walls to maybe a brick wall, and then I would take the user shape, or maybe even a half wall to use as the front of the outdoor kitchen, and change it to stone, and then just drop components either from the NKBA point or from the appliance catalog point, as far as being able to create those spaces. I don't know if you know or not, but when you're in your floor plan and you set your design settings, you're not driven by that being every wall the same thing. When you go to the wall attributes, you can change every single wall to a different texture. So if I wanted this wall to be brick, I would just change that wall to brick, and then when you go to 3D, that wall is now brick. And then you could build another wall in front of it if you wanted to, and you could set that out to be a stone wall or whatever you wanted it to be to create that space. I think maybe the outdoor kitchen manufacturers just don't have the call for the demand to create the catalogs yet. Not to say that they won't someday, you never know. Oops, I didn't mean to hit that. So we'll just have to wait and see. But I have found ways to create by just changing the wall textures to get what I need to get out of it. And see, like if you wanted to go to the texture, if you go to special face here and say okay, oops, I'm sorry. That was mine. I have a wall user shape on that wall. It may not work. Special finish face and go to the texture. You can hit special, and then you can go to whatever you want it to, you can choose whatever you want the face of that wall to be. I don't know if it'll show up since I've got a wall user shape on there. I've created a monster, as I usually do when I do these webinars. Yeah, because see, now that wall would be stone. So you can, between your different textures that you can create with the walls, you can, set appliances on top of there with some cabinet spaces and put countertops in there to create different textures. But I think, like I said, I have been able to create those just by using some of those commands. That's in the program. Okay, Brian's been looking for some updated plumbing. Yeah, let me see. There are 2 different plumbing catalogs now. What's updated? I'll grab them here. When you go to your, when you go here, it automatically pops over to plumbing. On your drop down, you got plumbing advanced. This is where they added some of the new stuff. There's one of your soaking tubs that are just freestanding. So you might want to scroll through here, because they added a bunch of new stuff. There is now 114 new tubs that they added into the program. That's a freestanding, one of the new soaking tubs. So now you'll be able to go through there. And like I said, they just added lots of new plumbing features here. You have to work, so check out, like I said, also with the faucets, they added a bunch of new stuff here too. When they did this, they did this after they did the appliance one. I like it now because look at all the vessel sinks that are now available. There's 13 new ones that were added. So you've got some nice features there to choose from. So that's your Plumbing Advanced. You'll also notice that you have, when you get into your furniture catalog, they've cleaned up the furniture catalog recently also. And they've added a bunch of stuff here into the program as well. Sofas, ottomans, china cabinets, bookcases, entertainment centers. So there's some new stuff in there added also. Okay, that's very good. Anybody else have any questions? Very good. Yeah, I absolutely love the program, Brian. I've used it for almost 4 years now, and it really, really is very easy to use, and it is very user friendly. And the webinars you can't beat, I don't think, for getting for helping learn the program. Yeah, if you're interested, I don't know, or if you're not, if you haven't worked with anybody at ProKitchen and you want to give me a call, I don't know if you're working with an account manager now or not, but if you want to give me a call, I'd be glad to go over some of the options with you. And my extension is 56. Anybody else have any other questions that I can go over with you? Everybody good? All right. Well, I know we've covered a lot of information today. I hope it has been very informative for you. I've enjoyed bringing it to you. And if you do need to ask me any questions, if you're not working with an account manager at the present time, our number is 616-438-9400, and my extension is 56. I'll be glad to answer any of your questions for you that you didn't ask today. Everybody was kind of shy today. I don't know, here in North Carolina it's a little bit cloudy today, so maybe everybody's just sitting back and relaxing for a few minutes. But Brian, thanks for all your questions. Mary, thanks for all your questions. A couple of others. I appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you again. We have basic and advanced classes that run all the time. Different people teach them, so you may run into something different in every webinar. So come back as often as you need to, and thanks very much and have a great afternoon.